The Kamen Rider series holds a special place in my heart. Not just because I grew up with it and being a huge part of my childhood, but even now, as I'm older, I can still enjoy these countless stories in so many ways. Whether it's the classic high-octane adventures of the Showa era, the grittier, more drama-focused Heisei Phase 1, or the campier, uplifting stories of Heisei Phase 2, or even the New Age Reira seasons, Kamen Rider always has something new to bring to the table every time a new season comes out each year. And the reason I even made this channel in the first place is that I wanted to express my love for the series, both good parts and bad parts. And for my first upload, I want to talk about the first Kamen Rider of the Heisei era, and one of, if not my favorite Kamen Rider of all time, Kamen Rider Kuuga, and its very deep and complex lore behind the ancient battle that took place. So, grab a snack, snuggle up to your favorite nice blanket, and let me take you back 2,000 years ago, to the first hero, the first legend. Now first we need to lay the groundwork for this. Kamen Rider Kuuga is the 14th entry in Kamen Rider series, and is the first Heisei era Kamen Rider, soon followed by its kinda sequel, Kamen Rider Agito. The original Kamen Rider Kuuga show follows Yusuke Godai in the present day, but the show doesn't exactly explain much of the ancient Kuuga, only some flashbacks and certain lore dumps. So the lore on the ancient Kuuga is mostly taken from novels and the Kuuga manga, and I'll be taking some of the details from the wiki, so take this video with a grain of salt, cause not all this can be classified as quote-unquote canon. Anyway, let's get started. Many years ago, the Rinto tribe lived in peace. They were a naturally peaceful tribe, and they would later go on to become the humans of the present. But a certain other tribe was soon going to ruin their peace and prosperity. The Grongi tribe. Who are the Grongi tribe? They are a mysterious ancient civilization that are made up of beings that can transform into monsters to kill people for their ruthless game, the Gegeru. The Grongi tribe is made up of several ranks, the Zu, Me, and Go. There are other ranks, but we'll talk about them later. These ranks take part in the Gegeru, a killing game. The basic premise is that each Gegeru revolves around killing a certain number of Rinto, humans, in a certain time period. These Gegeru vary in rules, getting more and more difficult as the ranks get higher. For example, a simple Zu Gegeru will be able to kill a certain number of people in a time limit, but a Me or Go Gegeru would be much more complex. But you'd expect the Grongi would have some kind of grudge towards the Rinto, but according to certain lore, they have no hate towards them. They'd actually prefer not to cause any unnecessary casualties. The only reason they held the Gegeru is because of part of their battle-hardened culture, and that tradition couldn't be broken. To combat this threat, the Rinto created the Arkle, using a spiritual stone called the Amadan. This same stone is actually used by the Grongi as well, to transform. But the Rinto didn't have a warrior to use the belt yet, until Riku came along. Riku was a simple man. Despite being a skilled warrior, he didn't like fighting, and preferred the more peaceful life. He lived a peaceful life with his sister and his parents, but after a mysterious accident that killed his parents, which was actually caused by some Grongi who were participating in a Gegeru, his sister saw the Grongi killing their parents and swore revenge. So to fight for his sister's revenge, Riku chose to use the Arkle, and he became the very first Kuuga, the very first hero. Now apparently in some parts of the lore, there were several Arkles. The first prototype Arkle, which could only transform the user into growing form and was never used, and the second prototype Arkle, which enabled the user to transform into the 4 forms. But it had an apparent flaw, the ultimate darkness. It was too consuming, and it could befall a terrible fate to the user. See, Arkle was equipped with a mental block, and whenever the user goes too overboard, it would show visions of the ultimate darkness, warning the user what would happen. Also, the belt was made so that it can only be used by a person with a righteous heart, to prevent people from abusing the belt's powers. Now, Riku was a very skilled warrior to begin with, so he was a natural fit to become the first Kuuga. Being able to use the first forms, Mighty, Dragon, Pegasus, and Titan, note that he didn't use the rising forms since electricity wasn't exactly commonly used yet, and with his trusty steed and the newly created horse armor, Gorum, Riku took down and sealed many Grongi. About 200 Grongi were defeated by Riku, which is crazy compared to the present Kuuga, who took down less than half of that number. After all the battle, Riku was confronted by Daguva, the leader of the Grongi. Although it isn't clear how he won, some sources say he used Gorum against him, but I don't really know. He never used Ultimate Form either, but anyway, Riku defeated and sealed Daguva, and made sure this never would happen again. He sealed himself along with the 200 Grongi in a tomb. Now I bet you're thinking the story ends there, right? All the Grongi are sealed, peace restored, the end. But Riku's story doesn't exactly end. Not yet, at least. Now let's jump 2,000 years into the future. Some archaeologists, stupidly, accidentally open the tomb and break the seal holding the Grongi. Riku seems to look, incredibly passed away, but it's revealed that he was actually alive during the Grongi seal being broken. And in the Couga manga, he fought and defeated Zugumun Ba in his mummified form. Then he would consider giving the Arkle to Ichijo, but decides not to, and then later gives his power to a dying Yusuke instead, but that's a story for another time. As you can see, Kuga's lore is super detailed in its storytelling, and I've only explained the most important parts. I haven't even mentioned the other Grongi ranks, the SIC stories, the Kuuga manga in general, which haven't even actually read yet, but I would love to. But I felt this was the bare minimum to talk about when it came to Kuga's ancient lore. I know a lot of this goes into the trust me bro category of sources, but it's really hard to figure out what's canon and what's not. I don't even know if the novels are even part of the story or not. But all the more, it was a lot of fun talking about this obscure part of Kamen Rider history. What's that? I mentioned that Kamen Rider Agito is a kinda sequel? How does Agito fit into all this? Well, wow. Agito is a whole other story when it comes to his lore. Like, if you thought Kuga's lore was pretty complicated, Agito's is even more convoluted. Well, if this video gets at least 10 views or more, which I heavily doubt, I'll make a part 2 explaining Agito's lore then. You happy? Okay. Welcome to the outro. Wait, don't leave yet. I just want to say thanks for watching and make sure to leave a like. I'm just starting out on this channel and I really want to make this into something bigger, so make sure to right or kick that subscribe button too. I had a lot of fun talking about Kuuga and I'd love to make more Kamen Rider videos in the future. Comment below any suggestions for future videos, and I think I've yapped for too long now. Catch y'all later. I'll see you in the next one.